Yeah. That worked great.
Look at that.
Wow, look at the little swoops.
Yeah, look at this. That's
nice.
what changed. Look at that.
Well, thanks. Jan did this, right?
Yeah. Look at that. We can play that again.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so here we are. We are back with... I don't know why all these things got messed up. But I was playing around with Stream Deck. Maybe that has something to do with it. Paul, if you had to guess... So I made a little dashboard over here. You can't really see
actually, before you do this, could you play the little animation again real quick? Yeah, okay. It looks like yours is a little longer than mine. I don't know if that's purposeful or...
Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyways. So
yeah. Okay. Yes, Friday. What are we doing?
Not being professional, which is the best part of this. So I made a little dashboard on this little Stream Deck thing because I was curious about how much data is actually running through the networks when we're doing this. How many megs do you think I'm pulling? Now this is combined. So this is up and down combined.
Megs on the just for video.
Well, it's on my whole network right now. I can't do.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Sorry, that is just this PC. That is just this PC.
I don't know.
212.
When you say megs, you mean like megabits per second?
Yeah.
This is the bandwidth?
Yeah.
200 megabits per second.
It's like 20 megs or something, whatever.
Yeah, that's not much.
Yeah. For one video feed coming in, and then when we have multiple, it just kind of ramps up from there, I would bet.
I mean, I think it's pretty much commensurate with the quality of the show, but you know, maybe that's the problem.
We are bits in a megabyte world. That's it. Also, I need to get a new child because yes, she made this.
Not sure how that works, but I was going to ask you about that. So from a distance, you could see it on the desk when you went back to fix something. I was going to ask you if that was a pacifier.
Nope. She was just putting googly eyes on clipboard or little things and made Clippy. So
she made a good. Yeah, she did make a little Clippy.
Yeah. So it was a good run, and we'll try better with the next one.
You know, I always, as I tell parents with 2 kids, you know, if you're batting 500, you're still doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Hall of Fame material.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it really is.
One kid, you know, he's pretty much a solo shot, so you gotta take your chances.
We have failed. Well,
yeah,
we have failed. In the if I would have put an image back here, it would have been a black kettle. For Brad Smith's comments on
yes.
For people who aren't aware, Brad Smith did an interview, I think, with Bloomberg or a conversation where he's like, yeah, we know antitrust, and that's Apple.
I use the phrase pot kettle black.
Yeah.
My short take on this. Yeah, but you know what? Like as I've said to people on Twitter and elsewhere, I mean, that Microsoft was a different company. It's not the same company. And I know this is a horrible exaggeration, but I always use the example of, you know, do you still hate Germany or Japan because of World War II? It's like, at what point do we move past the past? But yeah, look, I mean, this came up in Ask Paul today as well. I mean, there are people like trying to defend Apple. Like, it amuses me. You know, it's like, I'm a developer. I signed the agreement. I knew what I was getting into. And it's like, that's not the problem. It's like, you really don't know what you're getting into, which is the problem. You know, you could have 3 versions of an app in the store. You knew the agreement, and then one day they reject an update, and you're like, "Well, I really got to get that out there. It has, you know, bug fixes or whatever." And it's like, yeah, you know, sorry, it's an opaque policy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the App Store ballot screen. I think that's where we end.
The App Store ballot screen. Yeah. So, well, I mean, someone also in some comment, probably to the article about this very topic, had said, well, you know, well, all Apple needs to do is blah, blah, blah. You know, I think it was side loading. And it's like, no, it's a little more complicated than that. You know, Apple needs to allow app makers to communicate with their own customers and say, hey, by the way, you could pay here, but it's going to be more expensive. If you go to the web, you can pay there and it'll be less expensive. Or even if it's the same price, you have this option. You know, at least tell them what the options are. If you have a store of some kind, like you're an audiobook or an ebook or a music store or something, be able to sell things to your own customers without Apple getting a fee every time you do it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. A subscription service holder like Microsoft with Microsoft 365. buy that through the Apple Store, Apple gets $30 of the $100 that Microsoft was supposed to make. How is that? How is that fair in any planet? That's crazy. And we already raised the issue with like credit card fees, et cetera, being about 1/10 or less than what Apple is charging. And then, you get the people like, oh, it costs a lot of money to put up that infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're not losing money on it, guys. It's a supporting service for the most popular consumer electronics device of all time. It's a company that sold 70 million of these things in one quarter. Don't worry about Apple. They're not going poor.
Yeah, they're not a charity.
Yeah. So,
anyway, so we had that fun thing going on. Did you watch any of the EA stuff yesterday?
I did not.
It's EA. I mean, we don't really need to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they did show the one partially interesting thing is that they showed off some next gen graphics. Now they said for both PS5 and Xbox, so they're not deciphering which one was which. As they always do. They looked fantastic, but they're always in like these isolated environments where there's nothing going on. It's like, look how shiny the car is, which is great. And I'm super amped for that. But at the same time, there were like no collision effects. There's nothing else going on. It was like, I think they might have oversold it a little.
So I think, look, if you go from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, it's a big generational leap. When you go from Xbox One to Xbox One X, it's a leap. It may I guess we could kind of dick around.
It's more like
that.
A step.
It's a step. I look at Xbox Series X and PS5 as being kind of closer to the latter. It's almost the next step from Xbox One X as compared to the original Xbox. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you're right. This is something I noticed in both the Microsoft and the Sony events as well, where they'll do like a close-up of someone's eyeball or something. You can see pores in the skin and individual hair and their eyelashes. And it's like, yeah, that's really impressive. And then it kind of pulls back out and the battle begins and it looks like a video game, which is fine. And, whatever games you play, I mean, Call of Duty for me is kind of interesting because you do get a nice generational year over year, see how things improve over time kind of deal. And I'm sure the next generation of Call of Duty played on these next generation consoles will look better than the games that I'm playing right now. But, I go back in time and play the older games. You can really tell the difference. I mean, some of them are kind of rough looking now, graphically. And whatever, these differences are important. It's all good. So, it's no one's forcing you to upgrade. I mean, if you have an Xbox One X, you probably should not buy a Series X this year, right? That would not necessarily be the right choice.
Yeah, especially because on the game front, too, they already said that if you buy the game once, at least as long as the title supports it, you get it on the next gen console, no big deal, and it'll download the upgraded graphics. Yeah, that's not a bad point because it's not like you're going to miss out on any games at this point. No. You're just going to miss out on some performance improvements.
No, that will change over time. But, if you're on the original Xbox One, if you're then it's, at this point you can say, okay, look, this might be a no-brainer. This kind of reminds me of the situation with, you buy a movie from Apple and whatever the iTunes Store, whatever they're calling it now. And when you bought it, it was in 1080p, but now it's available in 4K and you just kind of get that. You get it for free. Google kind of resisted that for a while. I think they're doing the same thing finally. And then if you are signed into movies anywhere, what I notice over time is because every once in a while I'll run like the Microsoft app and I don't buy anything from Microsoft, but over time, a couple of movies will be added here and there to my account because I had bought them some time ago in many cases, right, on a different service, but they've been added to the movies anywhere kind of thing. So now they start popping up somewhere else. And that's kind of the nice thing moving forward, at least on the Xbox side. Like you will enjoy what you're doing now, depending on how old it is, you might want to upgrade. But whenever you do, you're going to get all that stuff you had before, and it's all going to be better to some degree. And that's, I'm sorry, but that's all goodness. That's just... That's good news.
Yeah. And then the other all good news, too, which I think this was announced earlier in the week or whatever, is that Edge is going to make some performance improvements to RAM and all that good stuff. And then naturally, Chrome just kind of absorbs that, like the leech that it is. And just...
Well, that's...
It's actually probably the other way. But
open source in action, Brad. It's, but yeah, so it looks like Sony has committed this same improvement. This is only on Windows 10, 2004 and newer. So it's not going to help you on a different version of Windows and the Mac or whatever. Someone, again, it's interesting how people perceive things. It's like, is the lesson here that there was some memory management problem in Windows that caused this problem? To that, I would say probably not, because Chrome is a pig on the Mac and probably on Linux, or Chromium you get on Linux. I'm not really sure what that's like, but no, I mean, maybe there are platform-specific changes you could make on these other platforms to fix that there as well. I don't know, but whatever, 27% or up to 27%, still good, and it should eliminate one of the big complaints.
Yeah,
about the browser. So that's good.
And then optional updates will start coming back in July as well. That's
They were optional to begin with.
Yeah.
What was the concern that people were?
I think they did it because of bandwidth. I think that's why Microsoft initially stopped it.
Yeah. Okay.
And now they're coming back. Although they didn't really hold back last month. There were like 129 patches for June, like their most ever. So.
Well, I mean, but I not like I know the mix, but I mean the optional updates are non-security updates. So I assume most, if not all, of the updates we got this past week were security related, right? I don't know. I don't really pay attention to it. I just install them.
You would. Well, they did pay attention to these.
Was it nice? Although again, it's like, you see something in different angles and one looks bigger than the other one, but they're actually exactly the same size.
They should be pretty close, I think.
I mean, you have a shorter name than I do. I'm just saying,
A little cold up in Pennsylvania right now. A little cold up there. Yeah, not too much else is going on other than some like crazy rumors that the Xbox Series S or whatever they're going to call Lockhart is going to be $200, but I don't think that's right.
I really don't. I don't usually like this kind of thing, but somebody did a fake prototype of what it could look like, or what a future cost-reduced one would look like, and it was basically like a half-height version of the Series X, but white. I thought that looked cool.
Yeah. No, I don't think they would actually do that. I think they would keep it in the exact same size box, but that would be kind of like a neat way to do it. And then if they did an all digital, they would do like a middle ground or whatever for which I'm wondering if Microsoft's going to announce that now that Sony did for the Series X.
I was surprised by how controversial that was when Sony announced it. To me, that's just a smart thing to do. I mean, I have never, ever purchased a game for this console, the Xbox One X, I should say. And I've never, other than to test it because I write for a website, I've never even put a movie into it. So that's not how I do things. So I would be very interested in a non-disc based version of the next console for sure. Yeah. Especially if I saved $100.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't think it'd be $100. Only the reason why I say that is look at the price differentiation when they launched the S, all digital versus the S. It was closer to about 50.
Yeah, and 50 makes sense because it's probably. Do you have to pay? You must have to pay some kind of a licensing fee on whatever the optical formats is.
Yeah, but if it's Blu-ray, I bet you do.
Yeah, something like that. That's probably but $50 is probably about right.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully July should bring some of that info, I think. So. You got anything else for today, Mr. Powell?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing I always do, which I will explain as before Brett says something about video game playing and taking naps.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is that? Is that holding down the little Xbox button until it turns white and then?
Yeah, until the battery runs out. No, in the afternoons I've been doing I've been taking one of those Flutter online classes.
Oh.
Working on the book. I don't know by the end of the weekend, but I got a new chapter on command line stuff that should be ready pretty soon.
Fun.
And then, whatever. So that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be hot, unlike last weekend, which was perfect. This weekend is going to be hot.
Tonight we're actually going to eat at a restaurant.
Wow, brave soul.
Outside. Social distancing. But first time since Richard Campbell visited in the first week of March. In fact, it was also the restaurant we went to then, which is kind of interesting. So what is it now, like 3.5 months later almost?
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time we sat down at a place.
I mean, it's outside, right? It's not
gone. I mean, we've gone to restaurants and picked up food and brought it home, but...
Yeah, like actually gone to a restaurant. Well, I only remember because literally while he was visiting. The whole world was falling apart, and he was afraid he wasn't going to be able to get home. And you know, I already have 2 kids. I mean, no, actually, he was awesome. He's a really good house guest.
Yeah. So there we go. One person did ask, actually, in the chat room real quick. They want to know, where are you learning about Flutter?
So I buried this in a story. You'll never find it, but Google, in tandem with a place called the App Brewery, is offering a free course. It's actually pretty extensive, but it's only part of like a bigger boot camp course that the company charges for. It's appbrewery.co. They're from London. And I'll just warn you now, the instructor's name, she knows what she's talking about. She is obviously very well informed. I find her voice to be very grating. It is one of the hardest parts. And also, she even when you're like halfway through it, like I am now, she just keeps going, like everything is like belabored. Like I find myself skipping ahead through her. Like she's like, copy and paste. That's Control C on Windows or Command C on the Mac. It's like, yes, I'm developing software applications. I know what Control C is. Like that. That's irritating. But but it's free. I mean, so that is the one I'm doing. Udemy has things that are inexpensive. Oh geez, I'm losing my mind. There are other places. Udacity probably has nano degrees that you pay for, but they probably also some free courses and stuff. But the one I'm doing is App Brewery.
There we go. There we go. People got nothing else, they at least know that.
Just flash that thing up one more time.
Don't tell me what to do.